Ariel Voss inhaled the salty breeze, drifting across the cliffside terrace, and tried to steady her racing heart. Palms damp against the ivory railing, she watched her bridesmaids, Savannah Kate among them, unpack champagne flutes and scatter petals across the marble floor. In 2 days, she would walk down the aisle to marry Caelan Thorne. Already, sunlight glinted off the Mediterranean waves below, promising nothing but perfect photographs and honeymoon bliss. Yet inside her chest, a flutter of unease stirred, as if fate itself had slipped a note into her hand and asked her to read it. "Hey," Savannah said, resting a supportive hand on Ariel's shoulder. "You okay?" Ariel forced a smile. "Just excited." Truth was, nothing felt quite right. The last month had been seamless. Wedding planners, floral trials, dress fittings, each detail executed with Caelan's trademark precision. He was the calm center in every storm. But lately, she'd caught him staring at her with something unreadable behind his composed smile, as though a secret weighed on his mind. Her gaze drifted to Caelan's perfectly pressed suit, hanging by the window, ivory linen matching her gown. She would never have imagined finding something hidden in its pocket, yet something told her to check. "Don't overthink," Savannah teased gently. "You're making me nervous." Ariel laughed softly. "Sorry. I just love him so much I hate the idea of leaving anything unsaid." Savannah squeezed her arm. "You'll be the happiest bride alive. Now help me arrange these glasses." As they busied themselves, Ariel's phone buzzed. A message from Elias, her estranged brother, blinking insistently on the screen. She ignored it, imagining their last conversation, his anger over rumors she'd broken his trust, his vow to stay away. She would deal with him later. For now, joy. But as night fell, Ariel lay awake in her suite, ivory silk sheets rustling as she rose and padded softly to Caelan's closet. Her intuition prickled. She slid open the suit bag, unzipped, and her fingertips brushed an unexpected crease in the pocket. Pulling out a neatly folded envelope, she froze. No stamp, no return address, only a single elegant letter, E scrawled in black ink. Her breath hitched. She pressed her back against the door, heart hammering. Who had left this here? A former fiancé? A business rival? The E matched neither her name nor Caelan's last initial. Hands trembling, Ariel lifted the flap. Inside, crisp cream paper bore a single sentence. "You don't really know him, but soon you will." A wave of dread washed over her. She clutched the envelope to her chest, breath shallow. The serene coastal night suddenly felt ominous, as if the gentle wind had carried warnings meant only for her ears. Tomorrow, she'd confront Caelan. Tonight, she'd unravel the meaning of that cryptic note. Either she was about to discover a lie that would shatter her, or she'd prove herself a fool for doubting her perfect match. Clutching the letter, Ariel let her intuition guide her back to bed. Whatever lay ahead, she would face it on her own terms, before the vows, before the witnesses, before the world believed in their legacy of forever. Ariel awoke to pale dawn light filtering through sheer curtains and the distant croak of gulls. Her fingers tingled around the envelope she'd stashed in her bedside drawer. Sleep had been fitful, haunted by half-formed dreams of hidden betrayals. She forced herself to rise, smoothing her ivory robe before joining Savannah in the terrace lounge. "Coffee," Savannah offered. "And do you really intend to marry a man who hides letters in his pockets?" Ariel managed a wry smile. "I hope there's a reasonable explanation." They sipped lattes while reviewing final plans. The florist's midday arrival, the menu tasting at 2, the rehearsal at 5. Ariel read through the program, her name printed in calligraphy, her future sealed in ink. Yet each flourish felt like a countdown to some inevitable revelation. Caelan joined them, immaculate in tailored chinos and a crisp white shirt, his smile effortless. He pressed a hand to hers. "Ready for the big weekend?" She nodded, pain tightening her throat. More than anything. His eyes flicked to hers, concern flickering. "You look tired. Want to skip the tasting and rest?" She hesitated, then shook her head. "No. Let's go." At the resort's private dining hall, Ariel sampled each course: lemon dust crepes, saffron risotto, fig and prosciutto salad, while tasting notes gave way to mental rehearsals of confronting Kalen. She watched his face, calm, loving, unaware. How could she betray him with suspicion? Yet the letter scorched her mind. Back in her suite, she dialed Elias's number, thumb hovering. Memories of their last argument, her betrayal of a family secret, flared. But she needed help. If Kalen hid something, she needed an ally she once trusted. When he answered, surprise and relief laced his tone. Ariel. Elias, I need you here. I found something, a letter. Signed E. Please just come. Minutes later, a knock startled her. Elias stood framed in the doorway, his once warm eyes cool. He was broader now, tension etched across his brow. You called me. Ariel stepped aside. I found this. She handed him the envelope. He read the note, jaw tightening. Where did you find it? In Kalen's suit. Have you seen anything like this before? Elias folded his arms. Kalen told me about someone named Mira years ago. He said he handled it. Her pulse quickened. Mira? Mira. He flicked his gaze away. Ex-fiancé. Almost married him until something went wrong. I never knew details. Ariel's mind spun. Kalen had spoken of an ex-fiancé only once, years before they met. He'd said it was over. Why would he hide her name? Before she could probe further, Savannah burst in. Ladies, time for hair trials. They gave Elias a hurried apology. He tucked the letter into his pocket and slipped away, promising to call if he uncovered anything. As makeup brushes danced across her skin and the salon buzzed with laughter, Ariel concealed her fear behind practiced poise. Tomorrow at sunset, she'd be wed. Tonight, she planned her questions and braced herself for the answers hidden beneath her fiancé's perfect facade. Sunlight streamed across Ariel's vanity mirror as she fastened pearl earrings. Her heart thudded like a war drum. Today was the final dress fitting. Ivory lace clinging to every curve, a silhouette of promise. But beneath the folds of tulle, doubt churned. She could no longer ignore the letter signed E, nor her brother's cryptic mention of Mira. Downstairs, Savannah greeted her with a sympathetic smile. Ready? Ariel nodded, slipping on satin slippers. Her gaze flicked to Kalen's suit bag, waiting by the door. Could you bring me that? She asked. Savannah, puzzled, retrieved it. Ariel unzipped and rummaged through pockets until her fingers brushed the stiff envelope. She withdrew it gently, staring at the wax-seal imprint bearing the solitary. She squared her shoulders. It was time. The salon echoed with chatter as her makeup artist blended blush and primer. Ariel cradled the letter. With a decisive breath, she whispered to herself, no more hiding. The door cracked and Kalen entered, precisely tailored in charcoal trousers and a pale blue shirt. He paused when he saw her expression. Everything all right? She held out the envelope. What's this? His eyes flickered. He took it unopened. Something you shouldn't. Tell me the truth. She interrupted softly. Who is he? Why leave this here? Kalen's jaw clenched. He folded the note and tucked it into his breast pocket. I'm sorry you found it. His gaze wavered. I plan to tell you eventually. She folded her arms. Eventually? We're 2 days from our wedding. I deserve to know what you've been hiding. He ran a hand through his hair. I changed my name when I was 20. It wasn't just a fancy rebranding. I had debts, enemies. I tried to run from my past. Ariel's heart fluttered. Relief? Fear? Your past. Mira. Kalen exhaled. Mira Cade. Savannah's older sister. She and I got engaged before I ever met you. She discovered I'd lied about my family's finances and walked away. Shock slammed into Ariel. Savannah's sister? He nodded, regret etched on his face. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I thought leaving that life behind meant never looking back. But Mira reached out with that letter to warn you. She believes I owe her answers. Ariel stared at him, mind racing. Savannah's unpredictability now made sense, a protective instinct she'd mistaken for mere friendship. But how many lies had Kalen told? Why not tell me long ago? I was ashamed, he admitted. I thought it would ruin what we have. Tears pricked her eyes. Trust is built on truth. He stepped closer. I love you, Ariel. Every day since I met you. I meant everything I said. She searched his eyes for sincerity, then broke contact and turned away. We'll talk again later. As Savannah guided her into the fitting, Ariel's mind whirled. Her perfect fiancé, a man with a past and secrets, stood waiting. In 2 days, she'd vow to love him forever. But first, she needed to unravel every hidden thread in his suit pocket and decide whether the truth was worth walking away from or binding them tighter than any vow. The chapel rehearsal glowed under chandeliers as family and friends took their places. Ariel and Kaylin stood at the altar's edge, scripts in hand. The air hummed with anticipation. Laughter, whispered greetings, the soft scrape of music through speakers. Yet Ariel felt removed, as though she observed from behind glass. During a break, Savannah pulled her aside. I'm sorry about everything. Ariel sighed. I'm not sure what I feel. Savannah hesitated. Myra's letter. Kaylin did lie. But he loves you. I know because she told me. Before I agreed to be your maid of honor. She insisted I protect you. Shock and pity tangled inside Ariel. Why didn't she tell me herself? She thought you'd panic, Savannah admitted. That's why she came here days ago, but you were always surrounded. Ariel's chest tightened. The web of secrets grew. If Mira had come, why had Elias intercepted her? Why did Kaylin's best man, Luca, avoid her gaze entirely? Kaylin approached, offering a hesitant smile. Hope I'm not interrupting. She forced calm. I've been thinking. He nodded, concern deepening. About. Ariel glanced around. Elias sitting stiffly at the front row. Savannah's eyes brimming with tears. You lied to me, she said quietly. About your past, your name, about Mira. He closed the gap. I never wanted to hurt you. And yet I'm standing before our altar with more doubts than reassurance. Kaylin swallowed. Let me explain. She crossed her arms. Go ahead. He inhaled. I left home because my parents' business collapsed under dark deals. I got involved with people you wouldn't want near you. When Mira discovered the truth, she threatened to expose me. I panicked. I changed my name, paid off debts, started anew. Then I met you. Ariel watched him, torn between anger and empathy. So you built an entire life on a foundation of avoidance. He reached for her hand. I built a life because of you. Every choice I've made since then has been to protect us, from my past, from those who might harm you. Her breath lodged in her throat. Protection or control? I need to know there's nothing left, she whispered. Kaylin exhaled. Ask me anything. She closed her eyes. What really happened with Luca? He stiffened. He's my best friend. He helped me disappear. But he also buried evidence that could have tied me to crimes. He thought we could start over. But now, those people are coming for me. And for anyone close to me. Ariel felt a chill. So you dragged me into this without warning. He nodded, anguish in his gaze. I'm sorry. She studied him. This man she loved, flawed and terrified. Tomorrow they would wed. If she stepped forward at the altar, it would be with eyes wide open to the man beside her. Not perfect, but honest at last. Opening her eyes, she whispered, Tomorrow, I'll decide. He brushed a kiss to her forehead. I'll be waiting. The wedding rehearsal dinner glowed beneath festooned lanterns, a floral-draped table, setting for 50 guests. Candlelight danced on crystal stems as laughter flitted between stories of childhood antics and university escapades. Ariel sat beside Kaylin, the newly revealed truths humming between them like an undercurrent. She raised her champagne and forced a toast. To love and honesty. Glasses chimed. Kaylin's smile faltered, but he clinked hers. Savannah nudged Ariel's elbow. You okay? Ariel nodded, voice steadier than she felt. Better now. From across the table, Luca cleared his throat. Ariel watched his eyes flick to Kaylin's and back again. His presence made her pulse quicken. She decided to press for clarity, tonight, before wedding day. As plates of grilled sea bass and truffle risotto were served, Ariel turned to Luca. Can I ask you something? He lifted his gaze, startled. Of course. Why did you help Kaylin hide his past? Luca's jaw clenched. He swallowed before speaking in a low tone only she could hear. He begged me. Said he'd lost everything if word got out, family, friends, reputation. I thought it was the right thing. Ariel leaned in. Did you ever worry about the consequences? Luca's eyes flickered toward Savannah and Elias, both watching intently. Every day. Elias suddenly spoke from the other side. This dinner feels unnatural. His voice was quiet but carried, celebrating what we don't fully understand. Conversation hushed. Kalen's father cleared his throat and raised his glass. Your turn, Ariel. All eyes turned. Ariel's throat tightened. How to explain the letter, Myra's video, the prenup clauses? She lifted her glass. To truth, she said, her tone firm. Because a vow without truth is just a promise no one can keep. A hush fell. Kalen's face paled under the amber light. Beads of sweat glinted at his temple. He set his glass down. Savannah reached across and took Ariel's hand. We love you. Ariel exhaled, emboldened. Tomorrow, I'll speak truth at the altar, and then I'll choose our future, based on who stands beside me. Silence rippled around the table as guests exchanged uneasy glances. The warm laughter had vanished, replaced by anticipation of what might come. Kalen stood abruptly, chair scraping back. He met Ariel's gaze, pain and resolve mingling in his eyes. I'll see you at sunrise, he whispered, turning away. Ariel watched as he disappeared into the night, lantern light flickering on his retreating silhouette. The dinner table, once a scene of celebration, now felt like the last stand before war. In the shadows of that coastal estate, she realized that love without truth was a fragile thing. And tomorrow, on the brink of vows, she would decide whether to bind herself to Kalen's hidden past, or to reclaim her own future, letter by letter. Savannah Cade stood on the cliff-edge balcony, arms wrapped around herself against the salty breeze, her mind racing with every hint of deception she'd witnessed since arriving at the estate. She'd been Ariel's oldest friend since childhood, sworn to protect her through heartbreak and triumph alike. Now, with 2 days to go before the wedding, Savannah sensed a danger Ariel refused to see. She replayed Kalen's guarded answers, his fleeting glances, the way he'd fumblingly redirected questions about his past. Something whispered that his confession about Mira was only the tip of an iceberg, one that threatened to consume Ariel's future. Determined, Savannah slipped into Kalen's study under the guise of helping him arrange seating cards. The room smelled of polished mahogany and faint tobacco, an odd combination given Kalen's outward persona. Pulling the drawers open one by one, Savannah inspected folders marked finances, guests, vows, and finally personal. Her breath hitched when she found a slim black notebook bound in soft leather. The cover bore an embossed monogram. Deceit. Opening it, she discovered lists of names, phone numbers, and references to dealers. Paper trail. And incoming threats. Her pulse thundered as she scanned mentions of payments, blackmail attempts, and a partial address she vaguely recognized from her own childhood neighborhood. A sudden noise outside the study door jolted her. She snapped the notebook shut, sliding it beneath her tote bag, just as Kalen's voice drifted in. Savannah, everything okay? He entered, brows knitted. You said you needed help? Savannah forced a composed smile. Just organizing these notes. Might have mixed them up. She stifled a shiver and withdrew the notebook from her tote, placing it back on the shelf. Found it. Kalen eyed her, suspicion tightening his features. Don't dig through my things, Savannah. His tone wasn't harsh, but curves teetered on reproach. Some of this is personal. She met his gaze steadily. So am I, Ariel's friend, that is. I need to know there's nothing here that could hurt her. For a moment, Kalen's mask slipped, revealing a flicker of fear. Then he nodded, masking it as fatigue. I understand your concern, but trust me, everything's under control. Savannah's heart sank. Control, he'd said, but control rarely connotes transparency. Later, she found Ariel practicing her vows in the chapel corridor, voice trembling as she whispered lines of devotion. Before Ariel could look up, Savannah placed a hand on her friend's arm. We need to talk, she said softly. Ariel's eyes widened. Now, Savannah nodded. Tonight. That evening, under a canopy of lantern-lit oaks, Savannah and Ariel slipped away from the rehearsal dinner. Ariel's cheeks were still flushed from laughter moments before. Now, confusion clouded her features. What's wrong? Savannah hesitated, then revealed what she'd seen. The notebook, the ominous entries, the partial address. Ariel's breath hitched, fingers tightening around Savannah's palm. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She whispered. Savannah shook her head. I wasn't sure what it meant until I read those pages. Now we have to find out. Ariel's gaze drifted to the distant lights of the seaside town. We promised to face everything together, she said. Okay, tomorrow I'll confront him. Tonight, though, I want to be calm. Savannah nodded, relief warming her chest. They returned to the dinner, careful smiles pasted back in place. But beneath the swirling gowns and music, a storm was rising, one that could sweep away every promise told under the coastal stars. Ariel awoke to a soft drizzle tapping her windowpane and the distant hum of wedding preparations stirring downstairs. Her heart pounded with a mixture of excitement and dread. She'd promised Savannah she'd confront Kaylin today, and the memory of last night's revelations hovered like shadows at dawn. She dressed in a cream cashmere sweater and jeans, the uniform of someone determined to uncover truth rather than rehearse vows. Downstairs, the staff arranged floral centerpieces in the grand foyer. Ariel slipped into the study before anyone could notice. Savannah's warning guided her. Look for anything that corroborated the secret ledger Savannah had found. With trembling hands, Ariel opened the lower shelf behind Kaylin's desk, discovering a scrap of ash and partially burned paper. She fished out the damp remains and unfolded charred fragments. What emerged was a photograph. Two people standing in a crowded marketplace, their faces erased by fire. The woman's dress glowed white in the flame's aftermath, and the man beside her wore the faint outline of Kaylin's current tailored suit. Ariel recognized the woman's hairline, the curve of her jaw, Myra's silhouette. Horror knotted her stomach as she realized Kaylin had attempted to destroy evidence of his past relationship. A sudden cough startled her. Kaylin stood in the doorway, rain-soaked and grave. I can explain. His voice was low, strained. Ariel held the photo aloft. You tried to destroy this. He closed the distance, rain dripping from his hair. That photo was supposed to be private, never meant for Ariel's eyes. She crossed her arms. Then why burn it? What are you hiding beyond the notebook Savannah saw? Kaylin sighed, eyes drifting to the fireplace, where embers still glowed faintly. You want truth. Here it is. He retrieved a metal box from beneath his desk, placing it gently in Ariel's hands. Inside lay letters, passports in different names, plane tickets to remote locations. I thought if I burned the photo, I could bury the past. But it caught fire I couldn't control. Ariel let the warmth of the metal box seep into her chilled palms. Why didn't you tell me any of this? He ran a hand through dripping hair. I was afraid I'd lose you. I thought I could salvage us if I made a clean break. She studied him, seeing fear and regret woven into every line of his face. I deserve to know everything before I stand at the altar. He nodded, voice cracking. I'll tell you everything. I owe you that much. Later, Ariel sat with Savannah in her suite. The charred photo lay between them like an accusation. Savannah's face was pale under the chandelier light. You saw it. Ariel nodded, eyes haunted. He tried to burn evidence of Mira. Savannah clenched her fists. He's more desperate than we thought. Ariel's decision solidified. I will stand beside him tomorrow if I know every truth. Nothing more hidden. Savannah squeezed her hand. Then let tomorrow come. As rain pattered against the windows, Ariel realized she stood at the edge of two worlds, one built on love, and one on buried secrets. Tomorrow, she would choose which to embrace. The next morning, the estate buzzed with activity as caterers set up a lavish brunch by the infinity pool. Ariel arrived with Kaylin, each step heavy with the weight of last night's discoveries. She wore a simple silk blouse and tailored trousers, armor for the confrontation she'd rehearsed in her mind. Kaylin greeted her with gentle concern, his eyes pleading forgiveness as he held her hand. Shall we go for a walk? he suggested quietly. She nodded, and they strolled along the manicured gardens, palms swaying overhead. Ariel inhaled the ocean air and steeled herself. "Tell me about Mira," she said, voice steady. "Everything you didn't burn." Kaelin stopped beside an ornate fountain. "Mira Cade was my first love. We met at university in Geneva. Her family hosted me when I fled debts and threats in London. She saved me more times than I can count." He exhaled, tension rippling through his shoulders. "We got engaged, planned a life together. But when she discovered the extent of my involvement with dangerous people, she threatened to go to the police. I panicked. I paid her to keep quiet in exchange for a fresh start." Ariel listened, heart twisting. "Paid her?" He nodded. "I gave her money, a new identity, location, anywhere I couldn't follow. I thought I was protecting her, but guilt and regret gnawed at me every day." She folded her arms. "Then why reach out now?" Kaelin's gaze met hers with raw vulnerability. "Because I realized I couldn't marry you in good faith otherwise. She sent that letter to warn you, because you deserve the truth, and I deserve to own my past before I commit forever." Tears pricked Ariel's eyes. "And the photograph?" He swallowed. "When I got the box back from Mira after she vanished, I found that picture inside. I thought destroying it would erase my mistakes. Clearly I failed." Silence settled between them, broken only by distant laughter of guests unaware of the storm gathering on the garden path. Ariel exhaled, torn between empathy and betrayal. "I appreciate your honesty now, but trust is fragile." He reached for her hand. "Let me earn it back. All I want is a chance to prove I'm worthy." She studied him, the man beside her, flawed but truthful. "We have a wedding to rehearse." He nodded, relief flickering. "And afterwards, I'll tell you everything." That afternoon, Ariel found Myra's trail through a private investigator Savannah had discreetly hired. An address in a French village led Ariel and Savannah to a quiet cottage overlooking vineyards. Mira answered the door, guarded but composed, dark eyes steady. She listened as Ariel laid out questions, then turned to Kaelin. "Did you ever love me?" she asked quietly. His answer came unguarded. "More than I deserved." Mira nodded, tears glistening, then let her decide. As they departed, Ariel felt a strange peace. She'd seen the truth in Myra's eyes, unfiltered and raw. Back at the estate, she knew, whatever lay ahead at the altar, she would walk in with open eyes, and a heart ready to choose truth over illusion. That evening, the rehearsal ceremony shivered under a pale sunset as guests took their seats. Ariel walked the aisle in slippers, pages of her vows clutched in hand. Kaelin waited at the altar, his figure carved in the dying light. Their families exchanged polite smiles, unaware of the tension crackling between the bride and groom. When the officiant called for the vows rehearsal, Ariel raised her eyes to Kaelin. "I, Ariel Voss, vow to love you in truth and honesty." Her voice quavered with emotion. "I promise to stand with you only if you stand with me in honesty." She glanced at him, searching for resolve. Kaelin's expression hardened briefly before emotions softened his gaze. "I, Kaelin Thorne, vow to stand with you." His voice caught. He cleared his throat and started again. "To stand beside you in truth." Ariel nodded, but her heart pounded. She had to know if he truly meant it. Later, buffet tables were laden with desserts. Ariel slipped away, finding Kaelin near the wine cellar. The dim, lantern-lit corridor echoed their footsteps. "We need to talk," she said. He turned, concern shadowing his features. "Ariel, please." She held up her hand. "Before we practice the rings, I need a straight answer. Are you still hiding anything?" His eyes darkened. What else could there be? Ariel's pulse raced. "Is Luca involved in covering for you?" His jaw clenched. "Luca's just my friend." Then why did Savannah find references to payments in that notebook? He shook his head vehemently. Those were to pay off debts, not blackmail. Everything was legitimate. Ariel met his gaze. "What about the messages, Tui?" Kaelin wavered, pain flickering in his eyes. "That was Mira." She inhaled sharply. "Mira threatened you, and you considered her an enemy?" He ran a hand through his hair. She was angry. "I hurt her." "Yes, but she's moved on. Ariel's throat tightened. Are you sure there's nothing else I need to know? Kalen swallowed hard. I swear, no more secrets. She searched his face, seeking truth. The sincerity in his eyes battled with memories of charred photographs and hidden notebooks. Finally, she nodded. Then let's finish this rehearsal. They returned to the chapel. As they practiced the ring exchange, Ariel's mind spun. She believed him, yet doubts lingered like shadows. When the rehearsal ended, Savannah approached, whispering, I trust you saw what you needed? Ariel managed a small smile. For now. But tomorrow, at sunrise, we go over everything again. Savannah squeezed her arm. You're stronger than you know. As the final lanterns flickered to life, Ariel realized that standing at the altar tomorrow meant entrusting her heart and her future to a man who had walked her through fire and shadows to reach honesty. And in that commitment lay both peril and possibility. At dawn's first light, the estate was hushed. Ariel tiptoed through mist-kissed gardens to Kalen's study, determined to verify his promise of no more secrets. She found his laptop open, but what she sought was his locked phone, an object he'd guarded jealously. Plucking it from his desk, she examined the screen. A passcode prompt glowed back at her, relentless. Her mind raced. She could confront him, demand the code, or try to bypass it. Memories of Savannah's resourcefulness swirled in her mind. She'd borrowed a small toolkit from a technician friend last night for emergencies. Tonight was that emergency. Glancing around, she slipped the phone and tools into her pocket and hurried back to her suite. Inside, Savannah greeted her bleary-eyed but resolute. I'm ready. She retrieved a slim device, a digital lock picker. This should work. Ariel's pulse thundered as Savannah's skilled fingers manipulated the screen. Within moments, a soft click and the phone unlocked. Messages flooded the home screen. Threads labeled E, M, and cryptic group chats with names like the arrangement. They dove into the arrangement thread first, Kalen discussing meeting the client at suspicious locations. Then M, Myra's contact thread, showed dates of payments, threats exchanged, and references to if she finds out. Ariel's stomach twisted. She scrolled to the E thread, Elias's name. Shock and betrayal hit in equal measure. Elias, her brother, had been in contact with Kalen. Messages read, I have what you need. Meeting at 2,400 hours. Ariel realized her brother was the E, who sent the letter, playing a part she never expected. Savannah gasped. Your brother's involved. Ariel's voice shook. All this time, he was pulling strings. She scrolled further. A message from Kalen to Elias. Keep it quiet until April 2nd. Today was April 2nd. Her breath hitched. Tonight. Savannah stood. We need to confront them, together. Ariel locked the phone and replaced it. She and Savannah raced to the chapel, where Elias and Kalen stood by the altar, rehearsing final words. Their eyes met hers, shock rippling through their faces. Ariel's voice rang clear in the silent chapel. We have to speak. Now. Kalen opened his mouth, but Elias stepped forward. His face was drawn, regret etched in every line. Ariel. She held up a hand. All of you, what is the arrangement? And why did you lie to me? As dawn's first rays filtered through stained glass windows, Ariel realized the final chapter before her wedding would be written not with vows, but with unvarnished truth. And only then would she know if forever remained within reach. Ariel stood in the soft glow of the estate's library, her heart still pounding from the morning confrontation. The locked phone, now in her hand, felt heavy. Savannah hovered nearby, concern etched in her expressive features. Ariel tapped the screen and navigated to the messaging threads labeled E. She had believed E stood for Elias alone. Now, cryptic text scrolled beneath her fingertips, revealing a tangled web of secrets. The first message she read stated, Elias, meet me at the old pier at midnight. Bring the letter. Beneath it, a reply timestamped 2 nights earlier read, Understood. I'll bring it. More lines followed, references to safe houses, code words like orchid and cerulean, and detailed lists of deliverables. It was clear that Elias and Kalen had coordinated plans long before Ariel, discovered the initial envelope. She scrolled further and found references to specific dates, locations, and contract clauses that left no doubt about their collusion. "Savannah," Ariel whispered, "look at this." Savannah leaned forward. "We need to save these," she said, tapping the screen to capture screenshots. Ariel nodded, her mind racing. The messages detailed deliveries of money packets in unmarked envelopes, the involvement of offshore lawyers in Paris, and a reference to the client's demands. The language was transactional, exposing a side of Kaylin she had never seen. Ariel closed her eyes. How deep did this conspiracy go? A sudden creak startled them. Elias emerged, eyes widening at the sight of his sister clutching the phone. Concern and guilt flickered across his face. "Ariel, Savannah, what are you doing with that?" he demanded in a low voice. Holding the screen toward him, Ariel commanded, "Explain these messages." Elias's jaw tightened as he read his own words. "It was to protect you," he stammered, "to keep Mira from exposing him. I thought I was doing the right thing." "Protect me?" Ariel interrupted, voice trembling with hurt. "You conspired with my fiancé to hide his past. You lied to me and manipulated every outcome." Her eyes brimmed with tears. "Every moment I trusted you both was built on deception." Elias's shoulders slumped. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I thought I needed to shield you from pain. I didn't realize it would hurt more." Savannah placed a steady hand on Ariel's shoulder. "We must decide what happens next," she said quietly. "Tomorrow is the wedding." Ariel looked from Savannah to Elias, then down at the phone. The weight of her decision pressed on her chest. "Tomorrow I will speak my truth," she declared, "and I will choose the future based on who stands in honesty." Elias nodded, remorse in his gaze. "I understand." Kaylin appeared in the doorway, drawn by raised voices. He saw the screen illuminated with exposed exchanges. His face went pale. Ariel turned sharply to him. "Kaylin, care to explain your part in this?" she demanded. Kaylin swallowed hard, stepping forward. "I will tell you everything," he said, voice raspy with emotion. Ariel pressed her lips together, her mind racing with grief, fury, and reluctant hope. Despite everything, a single fragile ember of possibility lingered. Standing amid dust of broken trust, she realized that the choice before her, between forgiveness and escape, would shape every moment of her future. No turning back now. In the hushed grandeur of the library, the four of them stood as dawn light filtered through tall windows. Tomorrow, at the altar, Ariel would decide whether to forgive or walk away. But tonight, the messages to E lay between them like a chasm, demanding honesty and truth before vows could mend the broken trust. The midday sun beat down on the private beach as wedding party members arranged fold-out chairs in neat rows and floral arches dotted the sand for the rehearsal ceremony. Gentle waves lapped at the shore, while a warm breeze carried the scent of jasmine and salt. Ariel approached Savannah, who squinted against the glare while inspecting calligraphy on white programs. "He's here," Savannah whispered, nodding toward the dunes. Ariel followed her gaze and saw Elias, tall and solemn, emerging from the palm grove. A hush washed over the gathering as guests paused mid-task to stare, the ceremony preparations suspended like a breath held in time. Elias paused at the edge of the setup, surveying unfamiliar faces and crisp linens, flapping gently. His linen shirt was pristine, his trousers rolled at the ankles, yet tension drew his shoulders tight. When his eyes found Ariel's across the sand, a current of emotion passed between them, resentment from their last shattered conversation, longing for connection, and deep-seated guilt. Savannah took a protective step forward, but Ariel raised her hand, signaling both friend and brother to stand down, albeit reluctantly. "Ariel," Elias called, voice echoing above the surf yet calm. In his hand he held a cream-colored envelope, sealed with dark crimson, wax bearing Myra's mark. Programs slipped from his other hand onto the sand. "I had to come." Ariel inhaled sharply, her heart hammering in her chest. She walked toward him, each step stirring grains of pale sand. "Elias," she said quietly, "you promised you wouldn't come. I couldn't let you walk into that ceremony ignorant." Elias replied quietly. He extended the envelope. Mira begged me to warn you. I intercepted this too late, but I realized it belongs in your hands now. Ariel's fingers trembled as she broke the seal. Inside, Myra's elegant script unfurled warnings of Kalen's former business partners, shadowy figures who enforced a blood contract through intimidation and legal maneuvers. One passage mentioned a clause forcing Kalen to protect an associate's interests or face ruin. Another line revealed that Ariel's inheritance, tied up in trusts, had made her a target. With each sentence, Ariel felt her world fracture and mend in the same heartbeat. Savannah gasped, pressing a hand to her mouth. Elias's shoulders slumped. I thought I was shielding you, he confessed, voice low. But hiding it was betrayal. Tears pricked Ariel's eyes. Why now, she murmured. Why interrupt my rehearsal? Because love demands honesty, Elias answered, eyes burning with remorse, even if it means pain. A faint breeze rippled the programs laid on chairs. Ariel scanned the crowd. Bridesmaids in soft mink gowns, cousins from out of town, a scattering of local musicians tuning ukuleles. At the edge of the setup, Kalen stood with his best man, faces ashen. Ariel lifted Myra's letter. Who among you stands with me in truth? She called. Her voice carried across the sand, steady despite the storm inside. Kalen stepped forward slowly, gaze fixed on Ariel. Guilt and love warred in his expression. Savannah placed a steady hand on Ariel's shoulder. Elias closed his eyes, then spoke to all assembled. We tried to warn her. Now it's her choice. I stand with her in truth. Ariel held the letter tight, her gaze shifting between Kalen and Elias. The ocean resumed its gentle rhythm, but the private beach had become an arena of reckoning. Tomorrow, every promise would depend on the honesty laid bare today. For a moment, time itself seemed to pause, sand, sea, and sky silently witnessing her choice. Later that evening, Ariel retreated to the terrace overlooking the cliffs. Soft lamplight flickered across her features as she unfolded Myra's letter and reread Elias's confessions. The distant crash of waves provided a restless soundtrack. Savannah joined her, concern evident. You okay? She asked. Ariel folded the paper. I need answers, she said, voice hushed but resolute. And I need them now. The night air was cool, the sky awash with stars, but inside her, a storm raged louder than the waves. They descended the spiral staircase to the courtyard, where Kalen and Elias awaited beside the fountain's gentle cascade. Torches flared in the summer air, casting dancing shadows on stone walls. Ariel approached, heels clicking, the letter clenched tightly. She stopped before the two men, imposing despite her fragile frame. Kalen, she began, you owe me the truth. Her tone was controlled, but heat burned in her gaze. Kalen swallowed, tension rippling across his broad shoulders. Ariel, he faltered under the weight of her stare. Elias stepped forward, voice taut. He owes me too. He addressed Kalen directly, anger etched in his features. You destroyed my life. You lied to me, used me, and discarded our family when it suited you. Kalen's jaw clenched. That's not fair, he protested. I tried to protect us, everyone. Elias's eyes flashed. Protect? You fled without explanation, leaving me to clean up your mess. You gambled with reputations, with alliances, and left us fractured. Savannah reached out and squeezed Ariel's arm. Now isn't the time, she urged. Ariel held up a hand. Let him speak. She turned to Elias. Tell me what happened. Elias exhaled, shoulders sagging under guilt and resentment. When you met Kalen, he had debts with dangerous people. I co-signed when our parents refused. I thought I was helping my brother, but then I discovered he manipulated the contracts and redirected blame onto me. I lost my job, my savings, and nearly my freedom. Ariel's lips parted. He made you collateral damage. Elias nodded, pain flickering through his expression. I'm not the only one who suffered. He looked at Kalen. You owe Ariel her family's trust she nearly lost. You owe me my life back, and you owe yourself redemption. Kalen's eyes glistened. He ran a hand through his hair. I'm so sorry. I was terrified. My mistakes almost killed me. I panicked, cover-ups after cover-ups. But leaving my real family behind was the worst choice. I see that now. Ariel folded her arms across her chest. So did you tell me everything, or keep holding back? Her voice trembled with pain and resolve. Kaylin met her gaze unwaveringly. Everything. He took a deep breath and spoke of each lie. The hidden loans, the demands from shadowy associates, the referrals to shady lawyers. He recounted the exact moment he signed the blood contract, the invoice numbers, the late-night calls. His confession spilled into the night air, raw and unfiltered. Elias listened, nodding slightly as truth poured forth. When Kaylin finished, silence enveloped them like a cloak. Savannah exhaled in relief. Ariel's knuckles whitened around the letter. Ariel stepped forward, tears glinting in the torchlight. She looked at Kaylin. Now you owe me a choice. A choice to forgive, or to let go. Kaylin's voice broke. I'll accept whatever you decide. In the hush of the courtyard, the fountain's gentle flow sounded like a countdown. At dawn, Ariel would stand at the altar, but tonight, she stood at a crossroads sealed by truth's ode, and debts forgiven or unpaid. I choose you completely. The fire pit perched on the cliff's edge glowed warmly, embers popping like distant fireworks against the velvet night. Ariel approached, her silhouette outlined by torchlight, as the scent of burning oak intertwined with salt spray from the ocean below. Luca sat hunched over the flickering flames, veins in his neck taut beneath his collar, a navy shawl wrapped tightly around his shoulders. His dark hair fell across his forehead, and when he saw her, his eyes reflected both sorrow and relief. He rose slowly, the wooden boulder creaking beneath him. Ariel, he said, voice tight with emotion, you wanted the truth. She descended the stone steps to the rocky clearing, her gown's hem brushing cool grass. Despite the gentle lilt of waves against the rocks, she felt a tempest inside. The moon overhead cast silver halos on the sand, as if bearing witness. When she reached him, she stopped a foot away. Yes, she said, drawing a steady breath. Your loyalty to Kaylin cost me the honesty I deserved. I need every detail. Her eyes, bright and unwavering, held him accountable. Luca frowned, guilt etched in every line of his face. He clasped his hands. Kaylin asked me to handle Myra's return quietly. He feared she would ruin everything. His voice faltered. I flew at dusk from Lagos to Geneva, changed planes in Paris, arrived in Geneva at dawn. I found Myra beneath a striped awning at a canal-side cafe, watercolor paints and sketches strewn across her table. Her eyes lit up when I approached. She remembered our friendship. I offered her a blank check, a safe identity, and a promise of silence. She refused with icy grace, telling me that truth was worth more than any fortune. She sent me back with that letter. Ariel closed her eyes. And the photograph? She asked softly. Luca swallowed hard. I burned the photo's edges, but saved most of it. It showed Myra's defiance, her stance, her expression. It was the evidence Kaylin demanded I destroy. I thought erasing her image would erase danger. He exhaled slowly. Instead, I burned my integrity. She opened her eyes, torchlight dancing in them. Your actions nearly destroyed us, she said. Every secret cut deeper than any confession. A wave of sorrow washed over her. She imagined the vows she would speak, now inked with unknown truths. Luca stepped closer, shadows flickering across his face. I am sorry for every choice I made in his name. I was his friend, his ally. I believed shielding him was protecting you. I realize now I shielded betrayal instead. His voice cracked. I can't undo the damage, but I can stand in honesty. A sudden hush fell as a coastal breeze stilled, and even the ocean seemed to pause. Ariel placed a hand on his arm, the cool fabric of his shawl brushing her palm. She felt the weight of his remorse, genuine and raw. Thank you for finally telling me, she whispered. Nothing matters more than truth. Luca nodded, his shoulders stiff but his gaze steady. I will help you however I can, he vowed. I owe you that. He exhaled, relieved beyond measure and hopeful. Ariel rose, looking out at the dark horizon where sky and sea met in shadow. Tomorrow, at the altar, I will decide who earns my trust. Stand with me in truth and witness the choices I make." As she turned away, the fire's glow bathed Luca in warmth, his figure resolute against the night. The cliffside carried their silent pact, and in that moment, honesty took root where secrets once flourished. The estate study was empty, save for midnight moonlight filtering through broad windows. Ariel slipped inside, heart pounding with restless energy. She needed answers about Kalen's name change. Every other secret had been laid bare. This was the final piece. She crossed to the built-in shelves, where genealogy books and framed diplomas stood. Beneath them, a locked drawer beckoned. Ariel retrieved a crisp white envelope from her pocket, and used it to unlock the hidden drawer. Inside lay passports in various names, a birth certificate listing a different surname, and legal paperwork bearing signatures from 20 years ago. She lifted the documents, fingertips trembling. The birth certificate identified him as Callum Thorne, born in Manchester, England. Passports showed entries as Callum Thorne, Kalen Gray, and finally Kalen Thorne, his current identity. Her breath hitched. He had rewritten himself multiple times, erasing footprints like a phantom. Footsteps sounded, and she spun around. Kalen stood in the doorway, dread etched across his face. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered. Ariel closed the drawer slowly. "I needed to know who you truly are." She held up the birth certificate. "Why so many names?" He stepped forward, hands raised. "I thought I could leave my past behind. I changed my surname to distance myself from family scandal. My father's embezzlement case destroyed our reputation. When I inherited debts from my grandfather's partners, I changed names again to avoid being tracked." His voice faltered. "I never wanted to lie to you, only to protect you." She studied his eyes, searching for conviction, protection, or evasion. One is love, one is deceit. Her tone remained calm but resolute. Kalen exhaled, stepping closer. "I'm both. Love drove me to protect you, but deceit became my tool. I regretted every alias when I met you." Ariel laid the documents in a neat stack. "So this fake past, it wasn't just about one person. It was about every identity you abandoned." She paused. "My vows tomorrow will bind me not to promises alone, but to a man with a true name." Kalen's shoulders slumped. "I'm sorry for every lie." She opened the envelope from Mira. Inside, Mira had anticipated his multiple identities, warning that the man you marry tomorrow may not be who you think. Ariel folded the letter, gazing at Kalen. "I have your confessions, debts, conspiracies, and now false names." He swallowed. "I understand." She closed the drawer and locked it. "Tomorrow, I choose whether to love Kalen Thorne or to let go of Callum Gray, whose fake past nearly robbed me of my future." Her voice trembled. Kalen reached out, cupping her hand. "I accept your choice. Whatever you decide, I'll honor it." In the silent study, moonlight gleaming on stacks of paper, Ariel realized that her final vow would not be spoken for love alone, but for truth, anchored in the real man beside her, stripped of every alias and deception. "I choose you completely." The estate's grand ballroom shimmered with crystal chandeliers and lantern-lit floral arrangements. A quartet played a languid waltz in the corner as guests mingled over champagne. Ariel stood near the edge of the polished marble floor, heart fluttering like captured wings. Tonight was the eve of her wedding, the final celebration before vows and destiny. Yet beneath the silk of her dove-gray gown, uncertainty tangled with anticipation. She'd confronted every truth, seen every secret, and now the question remained. Could love endure this crucible of honesty? Kalen emerged from the shadows, red rose in hand, his tailored charcoal tuxedo impeccably pressed. Despite the turmoil of confessions, his eyes held steady resolve. When he reached her, he extended the rose and bowed. "May I have this dance?" His voice trembled with vulnerability. Ariel accepted the rose, placing it against her corsage. She allowed him to lead her onto the floor. The quartet strings swelled, and they moved together in a hesitant waltz, feet guided by memory, bodies seeking connection. Kalen's palm rested against the small of her back, her hand atop his shoulder. As the melody wound through the air, He spoke softly into her ear. Ariel, I know you've heard every lie I ever told. Tonight, I want to show you the man beneath them. He paused, gaze earnest. I was terrified of losing you, so I hid behind aliases and half-truths. But dancing here with you, nothing else matters. Ariel allowed the music to weave around them. In his arms, she felt the echo of better days, the laughter at seaside dinners, quiet confessions at midnight, the promise of unbroken mornings. Yet memories of charred photos and secret texts flickered behind her eyes. Kaylin, she whispered, voice low but quivering. Truth has been our fiercest test. She glanced at the guests, their friends, their families, unaware of the tempest at the heart of this celebration. Do you truly understand what you've asked of me? He led her in a gentle turn, releasing her hand to grip it anew. I asked you to trust me despite my past. If you grant me that trust, I vow to spend every day earning it back. No more secrets. No more lies. His breath warmed her ear as he spoke. Will you? Ariel's gaze drifted to the ornate ceiling, gilded with frescoes of cherubs. As the waltz progressed, she felt the weight of thousands of whispered promises, vows spoken and broken across centuries. Could this vow stand on firmer ground than those before? With each measured step, she searched his face for the man she loved, not the ghosts he'd tried to bury. When the music faded, the quartet's final chord echoing like a heartbeat, Kaylin held her close. Silence hung between them like golden dust. Ariel closed her eyes, mind whirling through regret and hope. One last dance, she murmured, before dawn's reckoning. He dipped his chin, pressing his forehead to hers. Then let's make this moment ours. They swayed in hushed embrace as the guests looked on, believing this was merely another enchanting prelude to love. Yet for Ariel and Kaylin, this was more, a dance on the edge of truth and tomorrow, where every step determined the promise of forever. Later that night, after the guests had retired and the lanterns burned low, Ariel slipped away to the music room where her phone awaited under a single spotlight. Savannah joined her with a concerned glance. The video, she prompted. Ariel nodded, throat tight. She tapped the message from Mira, and an encrypted link opened. The screen flickered, revealing Myra's face, worn yet resolute, seated against the same canal-side backdrop where she first confronted Luca. Her voice trembled with emotion. Ariel, Mira began, eyes glistening. If you're watching this, it means Kaylin trusted you with his past. But there's more you need to know. She paused, inhaling. The blood contract he signed years ago wasn't just financial. It included a clause demanding loyalty sealed by blackmail. If he didn't fulfill their demands, they would come for you. Myra's hand trembled as she held up a thick folder stamped with a wax seal bearing an unfamiliar crest. This folder contains evidence, emails, legal documents, and recorded calls, proof that if Kaylin breaks the agreement, his creditors will expose every detail publicly, ruin both your families. Ariel's breath hitched. She pressed the screen to magnify the documents stacked on a table behind Mira. Contracts marked NDA, numbered exhibits, and pages of fine print. I've risked my safety to deliver this, Mira continued, because I once loved him. But truth matters more than any contract. Tears shone on Myra's cheeks. I'm sorry for the chaos, but you deserve the full story. The video ended abruptly, leaving Ariel and Savannah staring at each other in stunned silence. Savannah ran a hand through her hair. That's a lot. Ariel replayed the link, pausing at the folder's seal. She realized the contract was far darker than mere blackmail. It bound them in a web of coercion that threatened every promise Kaylin had ever made. We need to find that folder, Ariel said, voice taut. It's our only leverage against those who hold his fate, and ours, in their hands. They searched the study's hidden drawer first, rifling through passports and certificates. No folder. In Kaylin's desk, they discovered a false bottom. Ariel lifted a concealed panel to reveal a small safe. The combination prompted her mind to the burned photographs, charred numbers, Myra's birthday, the date of Kaylin's name change. She punched in the code. The safe clicked open. Inside lay the thick folder Mira had shown, sealed with that unfamiliar crest. Ariel lifted it reverently. As she broke the seal, the paper crackled under her fingertips. Documents spilled out. Signed agreements, notarized affidavits, and a letter from a law firm in Geneva. Kalen's signature appeared next to his former name, Callum Gray, binding him to clandestine partners. He had gambled with more than money. He had gambled with Ariel's trust and safety. Ariel's vision blurred with tears as she processed the enormity of his mistake. Savannah placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You have the truth," she said softly. "Now what do you choose?" Ariel exhaled, breath shaking but resolve hardening. "We'll confront them at sunrise," she declared, "and we'll demand release from this contract, legally, publicly, with every document laid bare." As the first stars faded, Ariel realized that Myra's message had done more than reveal new threats. It had armed her with the power to reclaim her future. Tomorrow, she would stand at the altar not as a victim of secrets, but as a warrior for truth, ready to fight for the life she deserved. Dawn's pale light filtered through the study's tall windows as Ariel and Savannah spread the folder's documents across the mahogany desk. The air rippled with tension. The blood contract was more than an NDA. It was a meticulously constructed legal trap. Clause 14 stipulated that Kalen must remit quarterly payments to an anonymous trust or face immediate exposure of financial malfeasance. Clause 27 decreed that any breach would automatically transfer Ariel's inheritance to the creditors. It was a union of blackmail and marriage, Kalen's reputation and Ariel's freedom held hostage. Savannah tapped her lip thoughtfully. "We need a lawyer, someone high profile to challenge these clauses before anyone sees them." Ariel nodded, scanning the fine print. Each paragraph was laden with Latin legalese and hidden definitions. Beneficiary, obligor, trigger event. The contract even contained a confidentiality clause preventing disclosure to spouse, meaning Kalen had explicitly barred Ariel from knowing. Her breath caught. A knock sounded. Kalen entered, eyes rimmed with guilt and fear. When he saw the open folder, his face drained of color. "Ariel, please," he began. She held up a trembling hand. "I've read it all. This so-called blood contract binds me as collateral." Her voice wavered. "You signed away my inheritance. You made me unknowingly part of your deception." Kalen closed his eyes. "I thought I could protect you by controlling everything, my past, our finances. I didn't realize how monstrous it was until Myra's video." He stepped forward, voice low but urgent. "Help me end this. I'll pay every penny, negotiate release, anything. Just tell me how." Savannah interrupted, pulling out her phone. "I called Jocelyn Hart. Her firm handles white-collar contracts. She can draft an injunction." She typed rapidly. Ariel watched Kalen swallow. "I'll fully cooperate. I'll testify that I never consented." His gaze locked with hers. "I love you, and I will do whatever it takes to make this right." Her anger and love warred within her. "This isn't just about us," she said quietly. "This has legal and public ramifications. We need a strategy, one that shields my inheritance, nullifies the contract, and holds those extortionists accountable." Kalen nodded, relief mingling with resolve. "I trust you to lead." They worked through pages of legal maneuvers as sunlight strengthened. Invitations lay unopened on a nearby chair. Wedding morning would soon arrive. Yet today was about dismantling the legal siege around their lives. Jocelyn Hart's email came through. "I'll be there within the hour. Gather every original document." Ariel inhaled, heart steadying. "I'll retrieve the originals from a safe deposit." Kalen placed gentle hands on her shoulders. "You've given me a second chance. I won't squander it." As Jocelyn arrived, lock cases in hand, Ariel felt a surge of empowerment. The blood contract, once a symbol of Kalen's darkest choice, would be the battleground upon which they reclaimed their freedom. And when they marched to the courthouse doors, they would do so united, armed with every truth. Soft sunlight filtered through gauzy curtains as Ariel awoke to a day both ordinary and monumental. The study's phone call from Jocelyn Hart had gone as planned. Injunction filed, creditors notified, contract suspended pending legal review. But the victory felt fragile, like gossamer threads stretching toward dawn. Today was the wedding. Today would decide everything. She dressed in her bridal suite, cream satin gown hugging her silhouette, pearl earrings dangling like tears. Savannah helped lace the corset, her hands steady despite exhaustion. "How do you feel?" she asked, brushing Ariel's hair into soft waves. Ariel exhaled, nervous, but ready. Her gaze flicked to a sealed envelope on the vanity, Kalen's final letter. He'd asked her to read it at the altar. She tucked it into her bouquet, for later. Downstairs, the estate buzzed as caterers arranged breakfast trays. Kalen's best man, Luca, stood by the foyer. Ariel caught his eye. He offered a tentative smile. Across the hall, Elias conferred with Jocelyn about court filings. Each presence grounded her, family, friends, allies. Yet one key figure was missing. Kalen was nowhere to be seen. "Where's Kalen?" Ariel asked Savannah, voice edged with panic. Savannah's brow furrowed. "He said he'd meet us here." Ariel's heart slammed. She hurried through corridors to the study. The safe deposit key lay on the desk, evidence Jocelyn still held. Kalen's jacket hung by the closet unworn. No sign of him. Her breath caught. Her mind raced with worst-case scenarios. Did creditors ambush him? Did he flee? She pounded the foyer. "Has anyone seen Kalen?" Attendants shook their heads. Anxiety knotted her stomach. Savannah joined her. "He's not answering his phone." Ariel's legs trembled. She fled outside to the rose garden, the scent intoxicating yet her mind numb. The invitation cards lay scattered in the breeze like unanswered questions. She called his name quietly, then loudly, no response. Tears blurred her vision. This morning, she made a vow at any cost. Now she feared it might be made to an empty chair. Footsteps approached. Jocelyn and Elias emerged from the villa. Jocelyn's expression was grave. "I filed the injunction. Legally, you're cleared. But I can't locate Kalen in any official registry today." Elias shook his head. "He must be here somewhere." Ariel's throat tightened. Savannah wrapped an arm around her. "We'll find him." She snapped a finger. The ballroom, where they staged the dance. They dashed across manicured lawns, calling his name. At the grand marble steps, Ariel spotted a leather-bound journal tucked beneath a pillar. Kneeling, she recognized Kalen's scrawl inside. She opened it to the final entry. "If you're reading this, I failed you. Forgive me." See, her breath stuttered. Panic surged. Did he intend to abandon her? She slammed the journal shut. Tears fell. Savannah touched her arm. "He wouldn't leave you." Ariel inhaled, fighting despair. She raised her voice. "Kalen Thorne." Down the garden path, he appeared, dusting soil off his trousers, jacket slung over his shoulder. His eyes were haunted with regret. He stopped when he saw her. "Ariel," he whispered. Relief and anger warred inside her. Savannah stepped back, allowing them space. Ariel's voice trembled. "Where were you?" "I thought." Kalen took a shaky step forward. "I went to surrender myself at the creditor's office, to protect you from any further manipulation. But Jocelyn's injunction arrived just as I reached the street. You legally freed me. I promised to do the right thing without you, but I couldn't leave you waiting." Ariel's tears caught in her throat. He advanced, voice earnest. "I wanted to prove I changed, that nothing would ever stand between us again." She searched his eyes, seeing the man she loved, battered but unbroken. Stepping forward, she brushed a tear from his cheek. "Then come stand beside me. We'll face everything, together." He exhaled, relief flooding his features. As they walked back toward the awaiting guests, the morning sun danced on her gown. The wedding, once a promise on uncertain ground, now felt rooted in shared resolve. Today, at the altar, she would marry the man who risked everything to stand by her side. The cliffside chapel brimmed with morning light and hushed anticipation. White roses lined the aisle, their petals whispering secrets of commitment. Guests settled into wooden pews, murmurs of excitement drifting like incense. Ariel stood at the back, bouquet in hand, heart pounding in perfect sync with the organ's prelude. Savannah by her side. She drew a breath and reached into her bouquet for the letter Kalen had placed there, his final words before vows. Kalen waited at the altar, his tuxedo crisp, eyes brimming with emotion. When Ariel's gaze met his, he offered a gentle nod, a silent plea of forgiveness and devotion. The officiant gave a gentle cue. Ariel stepped forward, each footfall echoing on stone. She moved with purpose, the letters weight a comforting pulse against her palm. Guests turned, watching the bride approach the groom, who had weathered every storm for her. When she reached the steps, she paused. Clearing her throat, she began. 2 days before our wedding, I found a letter in Kalen's pocket, signed by someone simply as. That letter was written by Mira Cade, Kalen's former fiancée, and sent by my brother Elias. It warned me of lies, of a blood contract threatening our future. Since then, I have loved him not in ignorance, but in full knowledge of his past. Her voice steadied. She set the letter on a small table beside the officiant. This letter, and every truth we uncovered, could have torn us apart, but instead, it brought us here, stronger and more certain than before. Kalen, do you still choose me in honesty? Kalen stepped forward, his expression radiant despite the tears in his eyes. Ariel, I choose you, truthful, brave, and unwavering, in every moment, in every truth. Ariel returned his vow. I choose you, flawed and fearless, deserving of my love and trust. She reached for his hand. Let this letter stand as testament that our union is built on truth, not illusion. The officiant smiled, clearing his throat. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. Kalen lifted Ariel's veil and pressed a gentle kiss to her lips. Gasps of delight rippled through the guests. When they separated, Ariel's gaze lingered on the letter's envelope, now a symbol not of deceit, but of love's triumph over secrecy. As they turned to face their families, applause erupted. Elias stepped forward, eyes shining with pride and apology. Savannah beamed with joy at her friend's side. Kalen swept Ariel into his arms, spinning her beneath the vaulted ceiling. The letter lay forgotten on the table, its secrets woven into every vow they spoke. Outside, the cliff's breeze carried the scent of roses and promise. Beneath a sky of endless blue, Ariel and Kalen walked down the aisle hand in hand. They had chosen each other, not in ignorance, but in truth, and nothing could break the bond forged by honesty, love, and the journey they had braved together. Ariel stood alone on the cliff's edge, the sea's roar echoing the tumult in her chest. The morning celebrations had faded, leaving only the scent of salt air and crushed rose petals underfoot. In her hand, she held Kalen's final gift, an ivory envelope sealed with his personal crest. Inside lay vows she hadn't read, preferring to commit her promise in the moment. Yet now, with the sun rising over the horizon, she felt the weight of every choice ahead. Behind her, Savannah and Elias emerged from the garden's arched doorway. Savannah's eyes glowed with solidarity. Elias's jaw was set in determined support. Ariel, Savannah said softly, are you all right? Ariel exhaled, pressing the sealed envelope against her heart. I need clarity, she admitted. Our vows were born of truth, but truth can be a turbulent tide. I must decide how to navigate the days to come. Elias joined them at the precipice, wind teasing his hair. You faced more in 5 days than most do in a lifetime, he said quietly. Whatever you choose, we stand with you. Ariel turned to her brother, eyes moist. Thank you, she whispered. Then she looked to Savannah. You too. They formed a silent circle, 3 pillars of trust on the cliff overlooking endless blue. Ariel closed her eyes and recalled each revelation. The burned photograph, the blood contract, Myra's message, the injunction, the wedding morning's fear. Each truth had burned away illusions, leaving only solid ground. I choose to stand by Kalen, she declared, voice firm. Not out of naivete, but because I believe in redemption through honesty. I vow to face every challenge together, with courage, transparency, and love. Savannah exhaled in relief, and Elias offered a proud smile. The waves below seemed to settle in response, their rhythm acknowledging the resolution above. Ariel unfolded Kalen's envelope and removed the note. It read, If you still believe, meet me at the boathouse. She tucked the letter into her bouquet. He's waiting, she said. I need to share my resolution with him. They descended the cliff path toward a weathered boathouse, where Kalen stood by a single wooden rowboat. His jacket was draped over his arm, his hair mussed from restless pacing. When he looked up and saw Ariel approach with Savannah and Elias trailing, relief washed over his face. Ariel offered him a determined smile. I've made my choice. She paused, voice steady. I choose us, built on truth, not secrecy. Kalen closed the distance and took her hand, brushing away a strand of hair that clung to her cheek. Thank you, he whispered. His voice cracked with emotion. I'll spend every day earning that choice. She slipped her hand into his, and together they stepped into the rowboat. As Kalen dipped the oars into the glassy water, Ariel perched at the bow, heart settled in her decision. Savannah and Elias watched from the dock, their faces bathed in morning light. The boat drifted into open water, waves parting like chapters turning. Below them, the sea embraced the vessel, carrying two souls determined to chart a course defined by honesty and love. The reception marquee thrummed with laughter and music as the sun climbed higher. Guests clustered around linen-draped tables, champagne flutes clinking in celebration. Yet Ariel felt her pulse quicken at the thought of public scrutiny. She had elected to share her choice privately with Kalen on the water. Now, she sensed a need to acknowledge the journey before their community of friends and family. Under a canopy of wisteria vines, she ascended the small dais where Kalen's father stood, microphone in hand. Conversation faded as heads turned. Savannah stood at her side, offering a reassuring nod. Kalen watched from the crowd, eyes bright with anticipation. Clearing her throat, Ariel raised her voice so all could hear. Thank you all for being here today. A hush rippled through the guests. 2 days before our wedding, I discovered secrets that threatened our future, secrets that could have torn us apart. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. But thanks to honesty, love, and unwavering support, we stand here stronger. I want to publicly acknowledge the courage it took to face every truth. Murmurs of intrigue spread. She gestured toward Kalen. Kalen, will you join me? He stepped forward, heart on his sleeve. She handed him the ivory envelope she'd carried. These are your final vows, she explained. I kept them sealed because I wanted my promise to come from the moment we stood together, not from words written on paper. She recovered the note from his hand and set it on a small table draped in silk. But today, I want to share a promise of my own. Kalen leaned close. Ariel. She smiled, voice clear. I promise to live in truth, to trust despite fear, and to love you fully, even when shadows from our past loom. I vow to build our future on transparency, compassion, and mutual respect. Guests erupted into applause. Some dabbed tears from their eyes. Others stood, raising their glasses. Kalen joined her on the dais and took her hand, beaming. He cleared his throat. I promise to earn your trust every day. I promise to keep nothing from you, to stand beside you in every storm. Their joint declaration resonated like a benediction. Music swelled as they descended the dais and embraced. Savannah clapped exuberantly, and Elias gave a heartfelt whoop. Later, as plates of delicate pastries and grilled lamb were served, Ariel and Kalen shared whispered laughter and exchanged knowing glances. Friends and family surrounded them, unaware of the legal battles still pending or the dark tides they'd weathered. For this moment, they let joy reign. Under strings of fairy lights, the first dance began, a slow, soft waltz beneath the summer sky. Ariel rested her head on Kalen's shoulder, the memory of cliffs and boathouses fading into the glow of shared celebration. In the heart of their community, Ariel felt her resolution crystallize. This love, forged in truth, was worthy of every risk. And with that revelation shared under open sky, she knew they had the strength to face whatever came next together. Before the sun peaked over the eastern hills, creditors' emissaries arrived at the estate's gates, their sleek black SUVs idling menacingly. Ariel awoke to frantic whispers echoing through the corridors. She threw on a robe and raced downstairs, finding Savannah and Elias coordinating with Jocelyn Hart. Legal injunctions fluttered in Jocelyn's hand, but the emissaries demanded immediate payment or threatened to seize the property. and Ariel's inheritance. Kalen appeared, dark circles under his eyes. They found a loophole in the injunction, he explained. We have hours before they execute their writ. Ariel's chest tightened. Then we leave now. Within minutes, they packed essentials into 2 duffel bags. Documents Jocelyn insisted she guard, passports, and Kalen's treasured journal. Ariel's heart pounded as she sealed a small envelope addressed to Jocelyn. Trust no one but the truth. Outside, Savannah and Elias herded guests toward waiting cars. The emissaries watched, cameras clicking. Ariel shielded her face as she descended the marble steps, Kalen at her side. Jocelyn jogged up, handing them a sealed folder. Drafts of appeals and evidence against the creditors. You'll need a secure location. Kalen nodded. The boathouse. He guided Ariel toward a hidden pathway leading to the private dock. The air was cool, mist curling across the water surface. Savannah and Elias followed, their roles shifting from wedding party to getaway crew. At the dock, a small motorboat bobbed in the pre-dawn haze. Kalen helped Ariel climb aboard, his hands gentle but urgent. She settled beside him, her bouquet now a tangle of petals in her lap. Jocelyn and Elias loaded duffels into the stern. Savannah took the helm, engine roaring to life. The boat sliced through mirrored water, leaving the estate and its peril behind. Ariel gripped Kalen's arm as the distant shoreline receded. The creditor's emissaries were confined to terra firma. Here, on open water, they were free. Savannah steered toward a larger yacht anchored in the bay, Kalen's contingency vessel. As they approached, crew members lowered a boarding ladder. Jocelyn coordinated with the first mate, securing their passage documents. Ariel swallowed hard, adrenaline surging. Once aboard, they headed to the galley. Jocelyn laid out coffee and croissants, her fingers flying over legal briefs. We'll file these in Geneva, she said. With any luck, the International Court will recognize the injunction. Elias and Savannah exchanged glances, and then turned to Ariel and Kalen. You two handle each other, Elias joked, tension easing. We'll handle the paperwork. Ariel found a moment to breathe, pressing her forehead against Kalen's shoulder. Thank you for saving me, she whispered. He kissed her temple. We save each other. As the yacht's engines thrummed and the coastline disappeared, Ariel gazed at the rising sun. Their escape under cover of dawn was not just flight. It was the first step toward true freedom, anchored in the promise they had made on the cliff and before their loved ones. Turbulence rattled the private jet's cabin as Jocelyn Hart recounted the latest legal developments. Ariel and Kalen sat side by side on plush leather seats, the glow of sunrise bleeding through oval windows. Savannah and Elias flanked them, documents spread across a folding table. Jocelyn's voice was calm but urgent. The creditors have filed a habeas corpus writ here in Geneva, but our injunction in the European Court of Human Rights should override it. If we present this evidence, she tapped a folder of contracts, we should secure a provisional release. Ariel nodded, clutching Kalen's hand. The memory of estates, yachts, and boathouses felt distant. Here, in a skyborne cocoon, they charted their defense. Kalen smiled tiredly at Ariel. Looks like I owe you my life, in more ways than one. She squeezed his hand. You've given me mine back. Below them, fluffy clouds drifted like islands across a sea of blue. The jet's flight attendant offered coffee. Savannah accepted, Elias declined. Jocelyn bookmarked the briefing. We land in 2 hours. I have appointments lined up with 2 judges and a notary. After that, we can bring this contract's architects to light and nullify every clause. Ariel exhaled. Then our future is truly ours. Jocelyn's nod was firm. Yes, but until the court's decision, we maintain provisional status. No public statements until we secure the ruling. Elias raised an eyebrow. That means no Instagram takeover. Savannah chuckled, elbowing him. Focus, El. Ariel leaned back, eyes closing as the jet banked gently. The steady hum lulled her, but her mind spun with gratitude and relief. She reflected on how far they'd come, from a cliffside confrontation to a wedding vow, from secret revelations to a flight for their lives. The vows they'd spoken, promises of truth and trust, carried them now through clouds toward deliverance. Kaylin gathered the documents Jocelyn provided: travel visas, preliminary court orders, letters of representation. "Let me handle this next step," he said, voice low. "I'll make amends." Ariel met his gaze. Together, they sat in silent unity as the jet descended toward Geneva International Airport. Below, the Alps' snow-capped peaks glistened under a pristine sky, a majestic testament to endurance. The runway lights glinted as they touched down. Savannah and Elias rose. Jocelyn collected the documents. Kaylin stood, offering Ariel his hand. Together, they descended the aisle, ready to face the next chapter. The jet's rear door closed behind them, leaving the cabin empty, but for echoes of shared hope. They had flown beyond fear into the realm of possibility, where love, fortified by truth, promised a life unbound. Late that evening, Geneva's city lights shimmered beneath a velvet sky as Ariel and Kaylin returned to their hotel suite. The grand room overlooked the Rhone River, its waters silvered by moonlight. Exhausted but buoyed by optimism, they unpacked their bags. Amid clothes and documents, Ariel spotted a cream-colored envelope tucked into her coat pocket, the final gift she hadn't opened. Kaylin leaned against the dresser, watching her with curious warmth. Ariel held the envelope aloft. "This?" she asked softly. Kaylin nodded. "Open it when you're ready." Sitting on the edge of the king-size bed, Ariel broke the seal. Inside lay a single plane ticket, one way, first class, to anywhere we choose, and a handwritten note. "If you're still willing, this ticket is ours to anywhere. No secrets, no contracts. Just us, starting anew. See." Her breath caught. Tears brimmed as she read and reread the words. "Kaylin," she whispered, voice thick. He knelt beside her, taking her hand. "This is our true honeymoon, a journey not bound by maps or creditors, but by choice." Ariel pressed the ticket to her heart. "I am still willing," she said, eyes shining. "More than ever." He smiled, brushing a tear from her cheek. "Then let's decide together where to go." Ariel glanced at the document Jocelyn had prepared for the court hearing tomorrow. Their legal battle was far from over, but in this moment, she felt an unbreakable bond. "First to the courthouse, then to the skies," she teased. He laughed, tension melting from his shoulders. "Exactly." They stood and embraced, the ticket fluttering like a flag of hope between them. The city's hum drifted up from below, but in their embrace, all else fell away. Later, packed and prepared for both convention and adventure, they boarded the private jet once more, this time as newlyweds and partners in every sense. As the engines purred, Ariel pressed the ticket against her lips, smiling at Kaylin. "Anywhere we choose," she echoed. He nodded, eyes alight with promise. Anywhere. They soared into the night, the ticket their compass and each other their destination. The past, contracts, conspiracies, betrayals, had forged them, but love and truth would carry them forward. Above the clouds, under an infinite sky, Ariel held Kaylin's hand and prepared to step into the life they had chosen, united, liberated, and ready for whatever wonder awaited on the horizon. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please like, comment, and share. Also turn on the bell to get more of our videos. See you in the next story.